When you think of Italy, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it ancient ruins, rolling vineyards, maybe that incredible food? And yeah, of course, but that's just one side of the story. Today, we're going to look beyond the postcard. We're going to uncover a completely different Italy, a place of incredible contrasts, where ancient traditions are actually fueling some of the world's most ambitious modern projects. So, let's get into it.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we're going to look at the sheer scale of Italian ambition. It's mind-blowing. Then, we'll dive into some game-changing innovations that are powering its future. After that, we'll uncover the surprisingly stable economic bedrock that makes it all possible. And finally, we'll see how all of this wraps up into the trust that the rest of the world places in Italy.
All right, let's kick things off with ambition. And this is where you find this fantastic clash between, ancient wishes and straight-up modern marvels. Let's start right here with something that's just beautifully traditional. Picture this. Every August, during the Night of San Lorenzo, more than 120 of Italy's most historic villages, they host this event called the Borgo dei Desideri, the Village of Wishes. People gather in these old squares, they write down their hopes, and they leave them in ancient wells or tie them to trees, all under a sky just lit up with shooting stars. It's this poetic, timeless moment that feels completely untouched by the modern world.
Okay, so you have that quiet, beautiful tradition on one hand. And at the exact same time, Italy is pushing for one of the most massive engineering ambitions you can imagine. A gigantic bridge to finally connect Sicily to the mainland. And get this, the scale is just staggering. We're talking 13.5 billion euros for a 3.3-kilometer bridge that would be the longest single-span suspended bridge on the entire planet. After 50, that's 50, years of debate, the project finally got a key preliminary green light. Now, construction hasn't started yet, but the funding is actually there. That's a huge step for an idea that's been around for generations.
But as you can imagine, ambition on this scale is never easy. Even with momentum, the path forward is, it's really complicated. It's still facing a major legal review, dozens of environmental hurdles, engineering plans that are over a decade old, and of course, a ton of legal challenges. And that's not even mentioning the incredibly sensitive process of having to relocate hundreds of families. But the ambition doesn't just stop at ground level. It's not just about what's happening on Earth. It literally reaches for the stars with another incredible piece of high-tech engineering. Okay, check this out. This is the M4 adaptive mirror. It was designed and built in Bolzano, Italy. And this thing, it's basically the high-tech heart of the new extremely large telescope down in Chile. It's an ultra-thin, flexible mirror with over 5,000 tiny actuators that can change its shape thousands of times every single second. Why? To give us the absolute clearest images of distant galaxies we've ever seen. It is a masterpiece of made-in-Italy precision.
And that high-tech spirit is the perfect lead-in to our next big idea. See, Italy is also home to these groundbreaking innovations that are quietly solving some of the world's biggest challenges in both energy and data. So take a look at this unbelievably clever idea from an Italian startup called Energy Dome. It's a CO2 battery. The process is just genius. You use extra renewable energy, say from solar panels on a sunny day, to compress carbon dioxide until it turns into a liquid. Then, when you need that power back, you just release the CO2, it expands like crazy, drives a turbine, and boom, you've got electricity. It's a brilliant way to store green energy using totally standard, off-the-shelf parts.
All right, from energy, let's jump over to data. Here's a wild thought for you. What if, instead of Wi-Fi, your internet connection came from the exact same light bulb you're using to read a book? Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, it's not. Researchers at the Sant'Anna School in Pisa are making it happen. They figured out how to use standard LEDs with special fluorescent materials to actually transmit data. This creates super stable, low-cost wireless connections. It's a made-in-Italy breakthrough that could be a total game-changer for places like hospitals or schools, where you can't have a lot of radio frequencies flying around.
So we've got ambition, we've got innovation, but what's paying for all this? What's the foundation? Well, this next part reveals a really surprising story of quiet, hidden wealth, and how tradition itself is being turned into the jobs of the future. Here's a stat that I bet will surprise a lot of people. Italian households, they carry way less debt than their neighbors in Europe. As you can see, their debt is only about 8.4% of their total assets. That's well below the Eurozone average and even below a country like Germany.
And that financial discipline leads to this powerful takeaway. The net wealth of an average Italian family is 8 times their yearly disposable income. That's a higher ratio than the Eurozone average. And this stability, it's not an accident. It's built on a strong foundation of owning real estate and just a deep-seated culture of high savings. But Italy isn't just sitting on old wealth. No way. It's innovating its most famous traditions. The country's 40 billion euro food and wine tourism sector is creating completely new, highly specialized jobs. I mean, think about it. Roles like food and wine tourism consultant or experience curator are popping up to professionally manage that connection between farming and tourism. These are high-value careers that just didn't exist a decade ago. So, we've seen tradition, ambition, innovation, and this quiet financial strength. And our last section ties all these threads together to look at something you can't really touch, but is just as important: global trust. And sometimes, a single number tells you the whole story. For 2025, the Italian passport is ranked the 3rd most powerful in the entire world. That gives its citizens visa-free access to 189 different countries. But this ranking, it's about so much more than just easy travel. A powerful passport is a direct measure of global trust. It tells you how other countries see a nation's political stability, its diplomatic relationships, its reliability. Basically, Italy's consistent high ranking is a huge vote of confidence from the rest of the world. Which brings us to our final thought. What does Made in Italy really mean in the 21st century? Because it's clearly not just about fashion or food anymore, is it? It's this complex, dynamic idea. It's a blend of ancient culture that's fueling high-tech engineering, it's quiet financial strength that's creating new opportunities, and it's all built on a foundation of global trust. It's a nation that's constantly reinventing itself, way, way beyond the postcard.